Hey everybody, it's me, Edward Jones, back with a new video. His will. I'm making this video in response of the tragedy that happened at Seattle Pacific University. It's a small Christian college. I'm looking up here at the title, and as I was going through some of the news stories that came up, I came across this article on the Christian Post, and it's titled Seattle Pacific University Professor on Shootings. This is not God's plan. This is not God's will. See, there's a quote from a professor there. I'll include the link in the description box. It says, "There's no explaining it. This is not God's plan. This is not God's will. This is not God's way of teaching us a lesson. Any lesson we could have learned out of this could have been learned otherwise." Now, I have issue with that quote. You think that coming from a Christian college, they would have known some things from the Bible that proves that to not be the case. And if this comes off as being preachy, so be it. You know, I get sick and tired of seeing these type of tragedies happen. It doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the body count, doesn't matter the injury. I hate seeing it. I hate seeing this kind of stuff happen. The big reason why, and for one thing, I'm not making light of this tragedy. Someone died, several people are injured, a lot of people are devastated from what happened. But I want to get, some facts need to be looked at. When saying that this is not God's will, that's, and that you could have learned, that this lesson could have been learned otherwise. No. One of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Judges. And in the book of Judges, you read about it. This is the one that has mentions, and a lot of you may not even read the Bible. You're pretty sure you heard of Samson. It was called the Judges because there were 12 judges that served with the Israelites, that were they whether it was militarily or handling disputes, they served the Israelites in a capacity that it could be looked at as being a judge. And something that was done was, if you read the book of Judges, you'll notice that there's a period where, what happens is the Israelites, they follow God, they follow His ordinances, they follow His laws, they had their faith in them. But then as time went on, they stopped. It started to slip, and they stopped, and they became idolaters. And so God punished them for their rebelliousness, and so He allowed them to be taken captive or enslaved by the enemy, because they were surrounded by enemies, and He allowed them to be taken for a certain amount of years. And once they repented after long suffering, God raised up one of them. He raised up an Israelite within them to lead them out of bondage, to lead them out of the terror that they were facing. So, and the process happened. I believe it happened 12 times. Samson. Of course, Samson was one of the judges. Ehud, he was he was a left-handed assassin, and that was an interesting story. Then there was also Samuel. Samuel was one of my favorite judges in that book. But it shows that God does use tragedies to show the ones that He loved how much they have slipped away, or how much He loves them. Just like a parent would punish their children to teach them as a form of discipline. Now, was this shooting seen as a form of discipline? Well, if that campus had a no weapons policy, which I'm pretty sure that's the case. You know, considering the guy who caused the terror, who murdered one student and attacked others, he was able, he did it with a shotgun and a handgun, and it seemed like the only person, he was stopped. He was stopped by another student who had pepper spray, which I'm thankful for. I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see someone on that campus fight back. He's being hailed as a hero. But what needs to be looked at is what is the overall message here? If this campus had a no weapons policy, this person, this attacker took advantage of that. To say that this tragedy, is not God's plan, also, it also flies in the face of what was also written in the book of Nehemiah. These are both judges in Nehemiah in the Old Testament. And the Old Testament is very interesting, and to point out some in the stories that are in there about certain responsibilities that people have within their community, within their society. In the book of Nehemiah was a cupbearer for Pharaoh. If I hope I'm remembering this right, and he was lamenting about the walls of Judah was destroyed, and so the Pharaoh sympathized with him, so he allowed him to be governor of governor of Judah, and there was he wanted to rebuild the wall to keep to make Judah secure again, because it was destroyed in an attack that happened years before, and so he mobilized the people to start working on rebuilding the wall. And one of the concerns he met a lot of opposition, and one of the concerns that he was met with was how we have our enemies. They're going to take notice of us rebuilding this wall. They're going to try to attack us. So what he did was he had guards stationed to take watch, and these were full-time fighters, and they would take watch. But seeing that those fighters weren't enough, every person who was there, they had a weapon. Everyone had a sword. It even says that every man with one hand carried his load, and the other hand held onto his sword. There was a part that said everyone had a weapon with them everywhere they went, even when they went to go get water. Which I'm not sure what the custom was at that time concerning getting water. I know getting water was an arduous task, but it was still seen as important that even when they were doing a certain difficult task, that they be armed, because of the potential of an enemy catching on, taking advantage of their vulnerability. If they remained without arms, they were extremely vulnerable. Today's areas that have zero tolerance on weapons, gun-free zones, they're making themselves vulnerable, whether they like it or not, whether they realize it or not. They are vulnerable. And this coming from a Christian college, this happening in a Christian college, it does makes me, it is befuddling to me. It makes no sense. You think that if it calls itself a Christian college, it would have knowledge on, it would have the knowledge on what the Israelites have went through, that they were surrounded by their enemies, and that they had to be armed at all times. They had to be ready to fight and defend themselves. Like I said, I was very happy to see that out of those who was around during that attack at the university, there was someone there who fought back. There's also if that's not enough, if judges or Nehemiah is not enough, well, I know a lot of gun folks, as myself, are familiar with Luke 22:36, where Christ told his disciples, and if he doesn't have a sword, let him sell his cloak and buy one, And I remember there was one of the disciples found two swords. So there are two swords among us, and Christ said, you know, it is enough. It's sufficient. You know, he was leaving, and they would be faced with many dangers. So they had to defend themselves. When will we realize this? I thank God that there was someone who fought back. I remember a few days before Sandy Hook, and there was a shooting at a mall in Portland, Oregon, and you know, where this young man, he stole his friend's AR-15 and, you know, shot up a mall. There was an off-duty security guard there, and he had you know, the young man he killed, he murdered two people. But once he saw that there was someone else with a gun, he ran around and he ran somewhere else and killed himself. We cannot abandon our duty to defend ourselves. And we cannot say that anytime a tragedy like this happens, you know, God, you know, it's not part of God's plan. You know, we could have learned this lesson some other way. No, obviously we couldn't. Obviously, it couldn't have been learned any other way. You know, sometimes it takes a strong message to get a point across. I'm not one to say I absolutely know God's plan, but I can say that I have faith that reveals to me the things that go on around me, and see that something's happening. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is down the road, but that doesn't mean that I should not prepare. I should not do what I have to do to be responsible, not just for myself, but to follow the obligation of helping others around me. Like I said, it was a tragedy that this happened at this university. It is a tragedy that happens anywhere. But I'm thankful to hear the small times where it shows that someone fought back. We have to be fighters. We have to be fighters again. We can't cower to. You can't cower to these dangerous individuals. We can't make ourselves weak. We can't make ourselves defenseless. We can't surrender to such evils. We just can't. To do so would be, you know, in the sense, you know, if you share that, if you are a believer, if you share that faith, to do so would be denying that faith. So it's not to say that there would be no tragedies. You know, bad things always happen. You know, horrible things always happen, but we should always be prepared to respond to them accordingly. We should not make ourselves victims. Not at all. We should never work to become victims. And no, my heart goes out to the people at of that university. My heart goes out to everyone who faces things like this. But we must understand that if you survive, I believe if you survive something like that, there is a lesson involved. It shows that you had a chance that other people don't have. You have an opportunity to learn from this and to act on it. I mean, should it ever happen again, or should someone else face it, and you at least said you learn from that lesson, you could teach someone else so that they don't suffer the same way you have, or the person next to you have, to where you got to the point of, you know, the person next to you died, and then, you know, maybe you got away, or maybe you were wounded, but we should all learn from things like this. I believe it is part of his plan. I don't know his plan in the whole sense, but I can look at the things that go on around me and say there was a purpose behind this. As tragic as it was, there was a purpose behind this, and I hope I learn from it. I hope I learn more from it. I hope others learn from it. I hope the people at university learns more from it. You know, if this video pissed people off, you know, I'm sorry, but this world is a messed up place. and that is no excuse to not do anything about it. That's no excuse to make ourselves victims. That's my video. If you agree with me, cool. Please let it be known. If you disagree, please let that be known. Give your points as to why you disagree. Any gripes, complaints, just leave them to me, and send them to me in a PM. Just please be courteous to everyone else who watches this video. That's my video. His will. I'm Edward Jones. You stay safe out there, and you have a blessed day.